This is Steve Richards with the CEO Nation. Glad to have you guys here for our weekly deep dive training and coaching Q&A. So every Monday at 3:30, we log on 3:30 Eastern, and we go through some topics that I know will help you guys transitioning, who are transitioning from being entrepreneurial, hustling, self-employed folks who have teams and the beginnings of a business, but maybe don't have a full-fledged business, transform into a CEO that has a business that works for them instead of them working for it. So every week, not only do we put this together, but we have other trainings that are going on. We've got a few different companies, and we've got some coaching things we do. We've got a podcast. There's a Facebook group that I was just mentioning called the CEO Nation. All that stuff is at the link that will be posted here in a second. So Bobby's logged in with me. Bobby, go ahead and put that link out if you can. And that is the CEO Nation, the ceonation.com/links, links, the ceonation.com/links. If you're watching this on Facebook, if you want to get registered to be live so you can ask questions or be on live each week, that's there. The podcast, set up a strategy call with us. Everything that you guys need to connect with us is at that page. There's a different link and a different button to hit. So that's the basic housekeeping for you guys. I want to get into the topic pretty quickly today. We're covering something that I think is going to help a lot of folks. I know it's been a big game changer for us personally, and a lot of the folks we coach, we've seen this issue. So when we're attempting to grow sales and get more revenue, get more business going, our mind typically goes to, we need more leads, we need more marketing, we need more people. And so it's more spend, it's more time, it's more effort. And that is true if we're trying to create more traffic. So there's a few different ways to create more sales. I'm gonna get into that in a minute, but most of us, especially in the beginning, have a little taste of success. We have some sales and we think, hey, I need more of this. And they think I've got to get more leads in the door so I can close more deals in the back. And then you're going to need more people, and it's a compounding more on the front end, right? That doesn't always equate to more on the back end. Quite frankly, sometimes it equates to less net profit on the back. We're going to cover that today as well. So I want you guys to know that you can use the chat at any time. If you're logged in live, just use the chat to send questions to me. I'll keep an eye on that. If you're in Facebook, I probably won't see it live. I'll try to check a couple times, but if I miss anything, I'll log in there later and I'll respond to it. But again, you can get on these live. I actually posted in the Facebook group a little earlier. So if you're in the Facebook group now and you want to get connected, just scroll up or down or whatever, look for the video post I did a few hours ago, and the link to jump in with us live should be there. So I want this to be interactive while we're going. Ask any questions. Throw them in the chat, but also know that in about a half hour or 40 minutes, give or take, I'm going to try to wrap this topic. And then if we have questions on this, great. If not, that's cool too. But I am going to open up for coaching Q&A. And this always cracks me up because a lot of you guys jump on this thing every week. It gets viewed several hundred times in the group. And I also have people hitting me up in Messenger, on text message, and Voxer, asking all kinds of questions. But for some reason, this format, I don't know if it scares people you don't have to come on live. You can just chat your question in. And you can even say, don't say my name if you want to. I'll keep you anonymous. But I know a lot of you guys have opportunities that you're trying to digest, right? You guys have problems that you're trying to solve, whether it's partnerships, marketing, financials, hiring, sales, team building, how to run meetings, what software to use, your P&L, like thinking about starting a second business. How do you get yourself out of the day-to-day? There's all kinds of things, right, that come up. So I want you guys to take advantage of this format while you have me here. I get so many people that ask to pick my brain and go to lunch and go to dinner and all these things. I can't meet up with everybody personally, but I do make myself available here every Monday to try to give you guys stuff that I know will be helpful in your journey from, entrepreneur to CEO. But I also just want to be present here to answer any questions or, kind of rap about anything you guys are, thinking about in your business. So keep that in mind, put it in the chat as we go. But I want to dig into the topic today. So we're going to talk about growing sales without spending more money, without getting more leads. And we see this happen a ton. So let's take a step back before I dive right in. And so if you want to do more revenue, there's there's some variances, right? But there's about 3 different ways you can do that. You can sell more of what you're already doing, just higher volume. You can sell bigger deals, or you can sell other things. So if you want to increase sales, you could add a new revenue stream. You could do bigger deals that would equate, to a higher volume, dollar volume, but not necessarily a higher unit volume. Or you could keep your revenue volume the same per transaction, per unit, and you could just increase the number of units or transactions or closings or sales or whatever you call them in your business. So with that in mind, we're going to focus on, we're not going to talk about changing what you're doing. I'm not going to talk about working on bigger and better deals. I'm not going to talk about bolting on additional revenue streams. Let's leave all that for a different day. What I want to talk about today is, how do you increase the number of units that you're currently doing, the number of closings, transactions, sales, whatever, billing, hours billing, whatever that is in your business. I'm just going to talk about increasing your volume. And so, like I said in the beginning, what most of us do is equate that to, well, I need to increase my leads. And so let's talk about that for a minute. That would be what we would call, and if you guys are taking notes, this is an important concept to grasp out of today's topic. That would be a traffic solution, or that would be you thinking you have a traffic problem, meaning I need more traffic, right? I need more, if you're thinking of cars, I need more vehicles coming through here, right? So from a traffic standpoint, if you think you're going to increase sales by increasing traffic, that comes along. You could do that. Absolutely. That's what a lot of people attempt to do. But here's 2 issues that it comes along with. Number one is, if you don't have let me just say this, if you don't have your business super dialed in, these are the 2 issues that you'll probably run into. Number one is, you have to spend more money or time to get those. So it starts to dilute your margins, whether that's by sucking up more of your time, or whether that's by sucking up more of your money to generate the leads, or both, right? So I'm diluting my profit margin when I'm investing more time and money to get more leads in the door. Secondly, I've got to bring more bodies to deal with, the amount of volume, which means I might be paying more commissions or sales or hiring more people. Again, I'm starting to increase revenue, but I've also got to increase expense there. I've also got, when I have this, the issue of maybe learning new marketing, maybe finding out that my marketing gets saturated. It's not just, oh, I'm getting leads spending $5,000 a month, so I'll spend $10,000 and get twice as many leads. I can almost guarantee, if anyone on here is paying for marketing, you know what I'm talking about, that you can't just, like, especially on Facebook or pay-per-click, you can't just double spend and get double leads, right? So you have an issue there. But then also, how do you manage onboarding and training all these new people while you're getting more business? That's a tough spot to be in. So when we're looking at growing through traffic, it comes along with those issues of more time, more spend, more headache, more people, more things going on. So the other way, and I want you guys to write this down too. So instead of traffic, we could be talking about conversion. Conversion is what I really want to lean into today. This is where we can just close more of the leads that we already have. We can have a higher closing rate with the same amount of spend, the same amount of people. This is where we get really good at sales, right? This is where we can lean into the process to do more with less. And I'll tell you, we see it in I'll use my real estate business for an example. So one of our businesses is a real estate wholesaling business. And we see it in this business where, if our sales guys on the acquisition side, so the guys that are sales reps who get leads of people who might want to sell their house, and what, instead of selling a product or a service to someone, what they're selling is getting a client. We're selling them on working with us to sell their house, right? So for a couple of you guys in here, a handful of you guys aren't in the real estate world. So I just wanted to make sure you guys realize we're not talking about selling houses. We're talking about buying houses, but they're still sales reps because they have to go out and negotiate and close a contract with a client. But it's for us to buy something, not sell something. I want to keep that clear. But with these individuals, what we see over and over again, and it's just science. It's not art. It's science. Like, it's fact. When we give them too many leads, their closing ratio goes down. And there is a point in time where they have so many leads going on that they start to miss the deals they would have got if they had less going on. So the laydowns that come in that we just can't miss, like if we're talking about a sports team, the games you shouldn't lose, you start to lose those games because you're so busy. You start to lose the deals that are laydowns that everybody should get if they're a decent to good sales rep. Well, now I'm spending so much time with so many leads that I'm not connecting, I'm not building rapport, right? I'm not getting to where I need to, and it's distracting me to the point where there's a diminishing return. And so we know there's a sweet spot of exactly how many leads to give them and how many offers to require them to make each week to keep them where they have enough time to really dig in and connect with the prospects. And again, it's about closing, conversion, right? It's about converting more with the same or less leads. And here's what's cool is it's less moving parts. It's no more marketing spend. It's not adding any more people to your team. It's just pouring more into the people you already have or yourself and getting better at creating better sales systems, better negotiating processes, and faster execution and fulfillment so you can get more deals going, right? And so incrementally, that's a simpler, less expensive fix. And it also happens to be kind of a low-hanging fruit type of grab for most people in the business, especially guys, if you're an entrepreneur who has had some success and you brought a salesperson or two in and then you stepped back. I bet you guys would agree if I asked you all to raise hands, do these guys sell better than you? I bet you 7, 8, maybe even 9 out of every 10 of you guys would probably say, like, I can actually sell better than my sales guys. And so that just means there's a huge opportunity for growth there, right? And many of you guys that are business owners who don't have a sales team yet would probably admit that you're not the best salesperson ever, gal or guy ever, right? So that there's some what I would call low-hanging fruit. There's some margin there to grab. And so I want to talk about that today, but I think that was important to lay the first part of this conversation is I would always look to see if I could grow when I'm looking to grow revenue, if I can lean into conversion before I lean into traffic. The superpower, the super juice is if you can figure out both, right? And so that you're maximizing and optimizing your conversion. And then, of course, there's this whole other piece that's kind of insidious is who, how, and when to hire. How do you actually find the right people at the right time and make sure they do the right things, right? How do you manage them? How do you comp them? How do you onboard them? It's a huge deal, right? In fact, it's a whole nother one of our businesses, Team Architects, is just one part of what I said. It's not even managing onboarding training. It's just the part of like, how do you find the right person so that you at least have a shot, a probability of success? Because if you don't find the right person and then you come in and try to improve conversion, it's not going to work, right? And so you're going to struggle there. So that's all a caveat. Again, we've talked about that on prior conversations, and we will again, even more so, I know. But I just want to talk at a high level. Let's pretend like you have the right people or you're the right person, right? And we're not going to have an issue where we can't train and teach and grow the people that are on our sales team. And quite frankly, it isn't that you have to get that much better or your salespeople have to get that much better at selling. Like, that's part of it and that's great. But a lot of it is just figuring out, we talk about KPIs so much. I feel like a broken record, guys, but it is so important to know, like I said, in our real estate business, we realize in the wholesaling business, there's a sweet spot of the number of leads per week and the number of offers per week that we can ask somebody to do. And if they're below that, they don't have enough at bats. And if they're above it, they get spread too thin. And not only do they not close more when we give them more, they actually close less than they would if they were in the sweet spot. The sweet spot is when they can actually do more with less. It is an optimal position to be in. And the only reason you would know what that is in your business, in the sales department of whatever business you're in, is by tracking your numbers and just trying different things and tracking what works and doesn't, and isolate each change, isolate marketing, isolate sales, isolate fulfillment, all these different departments in your business and all the different things you're trying. Over time, you have to proactively learn what works in your business and what doesn't, right? And so that's crucial. But getting back to the conversion aspect, I want to give you guys some good information here that I think will, now that we've talked about a high level, right? We've got traffic, conversion are two ways to grow sales. We actually talked about you could sell bigger products, you could sell new products, you could sell your same product to new customers, whatever. But I'm down here at this level where all we're talking about is increasing the volume of the current product or service you have. And then underneath that, we've got traffic and conversion. I've gotten rid of traffic. We're not talking about that today. So we're talking about a very specific thing, and it's how to increase my conversion in sales. And so let me give you guys some tips here that have worked time and time again with us. This stuff is like truth level facts. It works in no matter what industry you're in. It works with every one of our coaching clients every single time. And it is just an absolute truth. And it's actually for any relationship, not even just sales. So I want to talk about something that internally that I've coined in our businesses as the trust bridge. And so there's always a gap in any business between what you're trying to pitch, sell, acquire, whatever, and where your client's at, right? If you have a business where your clients just come in exactly where they need to be, please call me to invest in your business. I would like to become a partner, and I want to open 100 more of them. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen every once in a while where a lay down deal comes in to your business. But what I'm saying is, when we're pushing for growth, a lot of times we're bringing in what many people would think are margin quality or lower quality leads, especially if we're buying that from a third party vendor, or we're paying for data lists and we're texting and cold calling and we're just pulling people in. They're not calling us kicking and screaming saying, I need your solution. We're grabbing people saying, hey, we got a solution, you should hear about it. Of course, when they come in, they're going to say, I don't know if I care. I don't know if I need what you have. I'm just kicking tires. You tell me what you can do, right? Like you called me, I didn't call you. And so when we're doing this outbound marketing to generate inbound leads, a lot of times we can mistake these leads, even though they're quality, for low quality leads. But here's the reality is, we use real estate a lot. I'm going to use that. So if you guys are on here and several of you guys are in real estate, that we're sending out postcards that say we want to buy your house, right? We're also many of us are cold calling, where we're just literally, although we're using some kind of demographic data, so we're not just calling anybody out of the phone book, but we might be calling people who are age 55 or 60 and older, and they've owned their house for a while, and they're in an area where the zip code, that area is transitioning a lot. There's a lot of change. And so when there's a lot of change and someone's owned their house for 7 to 10 years and they're 55 or 60 years old, there's a pretty good chance they might sell sometime soon. There's also a decent chance that they haven't kept their house perfect. And so they may call in saying, yeah, my house isn't perfect, it needs some work, but I really want to move. It's time to downsize, or I want to get out of this neighborhood. And, I might call a realtor and they tell me I got to spend a bunch of money fixing the house up. And right. And so people go through this process. That's a very normal kind of client for us in our real estate wholesaling business. And so we're texting, we're cold calling, we're sending mail, we're doing other things, trying to reach out to these people, whether it's custom audiences on Facebook or whatever, but we're doing thousands and thousands of each of these things every day, week, month, to try to get down to hundreds of transactions. So our one main data list is well over 100,000 records in Indianapolis. It's like almost a quarter of all the houses that are even here are getting called, texted, and blown up from us. So that's, by the way, what I mean by a quarter, that's 1 in every 4 houses, in Marion County, for the most part, which is Indianapolis, the city our real estate business is in, is on some form of marketing from us. And so here's the thing, when these people come in and they say, oh man, I'm not even interested. Just tell me what you can offer. By the way, for my real estate folks, let me know if you've heard that one before in the chat. I'm not motivated. You called me. I want full price. They don't even know what full price is, but they say something. Zillow says this. I want more than that. Right? Have you guys gotten leads like that? Anybody? Yeah, I can't even say what one of you guys said. Okay. So yeah, the answer is yes. And so many people would consider these people to be low quality leads, but think about this. How often have you guys responded to a piece of junk mail? I mean, even read the thing, right? How often do you actually read the whole junk mail, let alone look at the phone number and call the phone number and have a conversation with somebody? I bet most of you guys would say you've never done that, or very rarely you would do that, right? Secondly, if you got a cold call from somebody, most of us are like blocking that number again, let alone answering it and having a conversation and actually giving our house details and what we owe and explaining our situation to a pure stranger on the phone, right? Or a cold text message pops in your phone. We're usually like annoyed at how did they get my number? Yet some people respond and say, yeah, I'll take whatever, 150 grand, and you start talking to them. And then you say, hey, can I get in touch with you to set up a call and a time to come look at your house? We could literally be, axe murderers contacting them. And then regularly people say, yeah, cool, meet me at the house. And so here's what's crazy is every one of these leads that comes in, we have many of our coaching students are in real estate because just kind of our sphere, right? Same reason real estate comes up on these calls all the time. And a lot of the guys in the podcast are real estate guys. It's just what our world is. In this world, think about that. We are regularly doing deals with folks who had no clue who we were prior to getting some kind of junk mail, cold call, junk text, whatever. But these folks show up in our business in droves, these leads. We spend a bunch of money to get them, and then we throw them out and say, well, they're bad leads. The thing in our real estate business, for those of you that aren't in the business, the thing that people say, and I know my real estate people will feel me on this, is they want retail, meaning they want full price for their house. They're not motivated and they're not discounted. So there's no margin for us to make in the business. Well, the reality is, think about this. This person is on the phone with us, talking to us after getting cold called, junk mail, whatever. There has to be some motivating factor in that person's life to make them respond to that kind of marketing, to be willing to be on the phone with you. And I don't care what they say, there's a spark of motivation there, and it's your job to find it. And here's how you do it. So if you're going to take some notes today, this is going to be the crucial part of what we're doing in the second half of today's training, is talking about how you close more deals with less leads. And it's the gap. It's we're here and they're here. We got to bridge that, right? The only way to bridge that is trust. So I want you guys to write that down. The only way to bridge the gap between what you want and what your client wants is trust. And the foundation for that trust bridge is rapport. The only other way to gain the trust that you need to close more deals, if it's not through rapport, is through a trusted referral, which is a transfer of rapport. The person who referred that client to you has rapport. They transferred their rapport. So in the end, it's all about rapport, whether it was transferred or whether it was earned. And here's the way that you can earn rapport, is that you've got to connect authentically and personally with that person. And it's so cliche. People say it all the time. People will do business with people that they know, like, and trust. That is 110% accurate. And you absolutely can know, like, and trust somebody over a phone call. Regularly, if I get involved in training calls with guys in our real estate business, I've got people on the phone. I'm literally, I got a gal. Let me see who's on here right now. There's a guy named Jim Borthwick that gets on these. Some of you guys, I know you know him. Literally, I had a gal the other day call. She was like a 23-year-old girl that was interpreting for her parents who speak Spanish. This lead came in, And I was taking calls to do some training with folks, and I took this call and I was like, watch, we're going to provide value. Now I'll tell you, this girl's mom doesn't want to sell the house, and there's a long backstory, and we don't have the deal yet. But she graduated from IU here in Indiana last October with a tourism and event management degree. And we were like, yeah, that sucks, right? COVID's kind of a wet, damp towel to throw on that whole degree that you worked on for years. And she was like, yep, I know. But what's funny is we got her to send her resume over. We referred it to someone who's in that business, and she just got a job this last weekend. We literally got this girl hired somewhere who's been looking for a job since last October, by the way, in one of the hardest hit industries right now. And that's what I'm talking about with this authentic connection, was taking the time to say, well, that's interesting. How's a young girl like you own a house? Oh, it's your parents. Why are you calling? Oh, she said some comment that made us ask about school. And she's like, I just graduated, and just being genuinely interested. And so if it's not authentic, I want you to write that down. It has to be authentic, genuine interest in that person. Because if you're just saying, oh yeah, tell me more, and you're filing your nails while they're talking and you're not listening, it won't work. Now, I'm going to come back to this in a minute, because the problem is you don't have all day to spend with every single lead that comes in the door like this, but you need to spend enough time to genuinely connect with authenticity, and you need to find 2 to 3 personal connections. It's things like what they do for a living, where they went to college, how many kids are in their family, how many brothers and sisters do they have, what's their personal connection to the house that we're talking about, right? If they're moving, where are they moving to? Why are they moving? Something about their life that has to do, other than what is the price of the house that you want. So I'm not just negotiating on price, right? In the real estate example I gave. So if you're selling, marketing services, the same thing. You just need to genuinely connect. If you're selling used appliances, if you're running an Amazon store, right? You can do this through having the right testimonials and consumer, reports on your Amazon store, and having the right kind of pictures and the right referred products, or referenced products. And so there's all these different things we can do to generate rapport, where people feel connected and they feel understood and they have that personal connection. Now, here's the thing. You need to do that with these prospects that come in, but you don't have time to do it fully with every single prospect. So what we have to do is what is called a pre-qualification. So there's response, not leads. There's response that comes in from marketing, and you've got to be able to filter that somehow, some way, to the people that have some basic minimum level of need, or some kind of demographic, or something that allows you to carve off the everyone that's out here and everyone that's out here that you're not going to do business with either one of these two, but you carve it down to, I'm only doing business with these people, but I'm going to be looking at this many prospects, not this many, right? Like I got to carve it down. So I got this front end filtering of response down to leads. Now that I've got leads, I don't sit down and spend an hour getting to know every single one of these people. You've got to have a pre-qualification process where you're basically digging to see if they're the kind of person that can do business with you and you want to do business with them. You have to be really careful here, because you don't want to be disingenuous and be like, look, I don't have time for this. So you got to get creative with how you do this. But there's ways to interview them to see if they're a fit for your program, or to better understand their situation. Then you can filter them down. Now that I've taken my response and I've carved it from, out here down to here with leads, and then I've pre-qualified my leads down to here, now I've got less people moving through and I can spend more time with them. So it's easier, by the way, when people are filtered and pre-qualified. You've got less junk to deal with. So they're actually better conversations, because they're going to be a better fit for your good or your service, whatever you're selling. So now I've got less people to deal with, and I can spend more time with them. And during that time, the main thing I'm going to do is look to build rapport. I've got to find two to three personal connection points that will allow me to have an authentic connection with this person, or these people, so that they can start to feel like we're connected and I understand them. Once I have that rapport, during that process, they're saying things back and forth, where they went to school, what they do for their job, what their family's like, where they're headed in life, or where they're coming from in life, what they're running away from, what they're running towards, right? You can connect on the silliest stuff like, oh, you live over in this one area, or, oh, your business is, where is it located? Oh, you know that great pizza shop around the corner? Oh, you like pizza? I do too, right? And so you can connect on working out, you can connect on traveling. There's all these things, where you went to college, right? I talked to a gal the other day in a sales call, and she's a twin and I've got twins, and we bonded on that. She's got dogs and I've got dogs, and we texted pictures of our dogs to each other, right? And it helps tremendously because there's just this inherent level of connection. And once rapport is built, that is the foundation for, remember the gap, where you're at, where the client's at. You got to meet somewhere, get this thing done, right? And you mostly want to be where you're at and bring them over to where you are. So the rapport starts to lessen the gap, and it fills in for a foundation of trust. And when you build the trust, which is the bridge between the gap, when I have trust with a client, when you have trust with a client, here's the benefit. You can speak truth, and you can confidently pitch in your sales process to someone who trusts you. They will not only listen more, but they will listen more deeply, and they will understand better. And then you get the benefit of the doubt because of the trust. And so when you speak truth, instead of him hawing around and positioning and all these other things that people are doing, because they're trying to, like, justify what they're getting ready to do, because you know that you're here and they're here, and you're him hawing all around, because when you make the pitch, it's going to be obvious that there's a big gap. Well, when you have the rapport and trust bridge built, you don't have to feel that way. And so I can say something to someone, I can speak truth, that if they don't trust me, I will literally piss them off. I will tick them off to the point where they might say something like, how dare you offer that to me at that price? Or how dare you offer that for my house? Or how dare you think I would pay this for that service that you have, right? If they don't trust you. But during that process of gaining trust, you've learned more about them personally. And so when the pitch comes in more concise, not only does it come with trust that's built, but you can position it more correctly because you know more about them personally. And when I say something to a person who trusts me, even if they don't like it, they will respect my opinion and what I offer them, to the point where many times, not every time, but many times, if I said something to someone who doesn't trust me and they get pissed, if I say that same thing to someone who trusts me, they might say something along the lines of, well, that's not what I wanted to hear, but you know what? Gosh darn it, Steve, I appreciate you being honest with me. Right. And I would deliver that by saying something like, hey, geez, Sally, I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but I think it might be what you needed to hear. And I feel obligated. We've been connecting, and I really feel like it's my obligation to just pitch it to you straight. And this is what we can do. And I'm really confident that if this works for you, that this is a good fit for us. And this is just where we're at. Right. And it's not talking somebody into something they don't want, but many people are out here holding on to something they don't need because they're afraid, they don't trust you, and they're afraid to come into here to where they can get something that they need. And so they're holding on to bad pricing, bad expectations, right? And they're asking for something that doesn't exist. And anyone that promises them this is lying to them more times than not, right? Now, I guess I got to say this. I got to be conscious of time here. But if you're a liar and a cheater and a scum, and you have no value, and your business isn't any good, and your product sucks, and your service is terrible, all the stuff I'm talking about won't matter. I want to make sure I give that caveat that you guys need to be honest and legit with a valuable good or service, so that you can confidently stand behind it and say, I know my business well enough, and I've gotten to know your situation well enough that here's my pitch, and it's a fit. You have to be willing to talk to someone for 30 or 40 minutes to get to know them, connect. You're laughing, you're crying, whatever. But if you get in the end and authentically, you can't pitch what you do to be a good fit, you need to say, you know what? we're not really a good fit for each other. Bummer. Sometimes they'll say, you know what, I like you so much, I'm going to change my expectations to meet where you're at. And you still do a deal. Or worst case, you can say, hey, you know what, if anything changes, let me know. But right now, I think you should do X, Y, and Z. We're not a great fit. That person is going to appreciate you to the point where it's really easy to ask for referrals at the end of that call. Or they may just call you back later when they run into someone because you want to explain to them, this is why we're not a fit. You're here, here, and here. We help people like this, and this. And the more clear you make that, the more where they know if they can do business with you, change their expectations, or more clearly know that if I run into someone who fits this, and this, hey, you got to talk to the Steve guy. He's really great. I really appreciated them. I didn't work out for me, but actually it sounds like you'd be a fit. Let me refer you in. And I'm not saying that every single lead you do this to, you'll get a new sale. I'm not saying you can close 100% of your leads. I'm talking about going from closing 1.5 out of 10 to maybe closing 3. That's a double. That's 100% increase. That's a doubling of your revenue and sales, right? So I'm not saying you'll go from closing 1.5 out of 10 to 10 out of 10, but we don't need that. We just need to move from 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 10 to maybe 4 out of 10. And it's a dramatic impact in our business, again, with no more spend and with actually easier work. And it's more of a feel good where your clients feel more connected. They feel more served, which gives you better testimonials. It makes your fulfillment easier. They refer people in and you can use their testimonials to get more clients like them, which is more free marketing instead of paid marketing. And this is where the deck starts to get stacked in your favor, right? We stack the odds in your favor. And so I focus on this conversion piece first. Now, if you don't have any leads coming in, yes, you got to generate traffic. But once you have a baseline of business going on and you got some traffic, you got some conversion, and you got the two going and you're trying to decide what to do, don't take that natural step to just hire somebody and pay for more leads or to hire another salesperson. Dig deep into your conversion first before you start bolting on other revenue streams. Now, granted, there might be times where something makes a lot of sense. You're out selling roofs or something, and then you find a supply house for windows and you just add it in, and while you're there, you're selling roofs and windows. Or you guys, maybe you're an insurance, you're running a state farm insurance company and you're selling someone property and casualty, and now you can sell them life insurance. I'm not saying don't make some smart move that comes along. I'm just saying in general, before you start bolting on new revenue streams, work on the one you got, right? Because it keeps you more focused. You don't have to learn anything new. And when you go learn that new thing, sometimes it makes you get unfocused over here, and the thing that was kind of working starts to not work, right? And so once we're focusing on growing more of what we already have, again, underneath that, instead of focusing on traffic, at that point, I would focus on the conversion, which is all about understanding your prospects. Better, more authentic connection with less people will lead to more sales the majority of the time. Again, this isn't a silver bullet that saves 100% of every company out there, but I'm telling you, for every 10 of you that are on here, 7 or 8 of you will be served to follow what I'm talking about, to focus on conversion. And again, to understand the rapport building process, to be authentic with it, and to be willing to walk away from the deal at the end. Once you've built rapport and you've gained some trust, you need to be able to walk if they're not a good fit. If they're a good fit, then you fight for the deal, and you can fight confidently, and you guys will close more business out of this. And it will save you more marketing dollars and the headache of bringing on more salespeople by focusing on conversion first, because that's more profitable revenue. That's easier, quicker revenue growth that you can bring in at a higher profit margin. And then you can take some of that and then you can start to invest that in traffic. And then as traffic comes in, we can learn how to hire more effectively and start to bring people in. Once I control the deal flow with traffic, I can start to control our execution with people. So it's focusing on the model first and working on your traffic conversion, focusing deeply. Once you get both kind of rolling a little bit, focusing deeply on conversion, then learning traffic, and then learning how to grow the team behind that. That's ideally how most small businesses in the, on the low end, in the couple $100,000 up to maybe a couple $1 million range. Most of you guys will fit into that range. In that respects, we're going to be wanting to focus more about doing more of what we're currently doing in conversion. So I hope that helps today. If you guys have questions, let me see what we got here. Jim, dude, you missed it. I was talking about you, unless I couldn't see you, about hiring somebody. Oh, got you. Blasting CEO Nation from the car stereo while working from the golf course. Bro, now you make me feel like a schmuck. You're hanging out on the golf course and I'm sitting in my office. What's up, Cameron, by the way? So, yeah. Hey, Cree. 100% right. Cool. Hey, what questions you guys got? See quite a few people on that. Actually, a handful of you guys I don't know. So, welcome. Glad, to all you guys. Glad to have you guys on. Don't be shy. Let me know what's up. Let me know if you guys got questions. And I hope this helps. And by the way, all this stuff that I'm talking about, if you can just be intentional when you're digging into the conversion and traffic, don't just go do stuff. Don't put your head down and grind and hustle. And I hate grind and hustle and all that stuff, like 24/7. Like, no, as a business owner, we want a business that serves us, right? There are times we have to work really hard, but when we're putting our head down to focus on conversion, traffic, and all these things I'm talking about, our sales process, our scripts, document the crap out of everything you do. But this is a key. So most people don't document what they do. So that puts you way ahead. But here's a advanced level thing that will get you guys further. So before I go in and hustle and grind and do all this work and document what's happening, stop and pause right beforehand. Plan ahead and forecast first. Forecast first what you think, what your hypothesis is. Like, I'm going to try this new way of connecting, and I'm going to do it on this many calls during this time this week. So forecast what's going to happen. Detail what you're going to do, the activities that you plan. So your planned activities, forecast what their planned results are. Then set that aside and then go to work. Put your head down, bang it out, work really hard, and every day track everything that happens. I did this and this happened. I did this and this happened. I did this, and just forget about the planning and forecasting, by the way. When it's done, set it aside. Kind of. You should still be working to try to hit your numbers, but let's forget that part. Work, track, right? Document. And then in a week, I come up and I say, okay, I'm going to take everything that I documented last week. I'm going to crunch it all together. I'm going to lay it down next to what was my plan. So my planned activities and my forecasted results versus my actual activities and actual results. Well, what happened between the two? Anywhere that they don't match up, you've got to ask a question, why? And so if you missed from a low or bad perspective, be honest about what happened or what got in your way. And if you don't know, just take your best guess. Isolate that. That should turn into some action items that you're going to modify next week. If you did better at something than you expected, isolate that, talk about it, try to understand what happened, and next week try to replicate that. So each week I'm going to come in with a few action items of good things that happened that I'm going to try to replicate. And I'm going to try some like hypothesis around like problem solving around things that, that kept me from producing what I wanted to. And so I got 2 or 3 tweaks to produce better than I was, originally doing. I got 2 or 3 tweaks to try to fix some of the problems. And then I adjust my forecast and planning. And then I put that aside. I put my head down. And I do it again for another week. Track everything that happens. And then I get up back to my weekly day. My weekly meeting, by the way, should be on the same day, same time every week. I bring my head up and I say, okay, my adjusted planning and my adjusted forecasting this week was this, what really happened. And I'm hoping that, these two things are like kind of far apart, right? And over time, they're kind of like coming into focus, where we can laser in and you start to close the gap to where many times you say, this week I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and ABC is going to happen. And you go out and you do X, Y, and Z, and ABC happens, or pretty close, right? And you're honing in on understanding your business model, and all these nuances you're learning are the best practices you need to build a business. These are the activities that you need to know with the correlating results, so that when you hire someone, you can say, I need you to do these activities and I'm expecting these correlated results. And when I know what activities and results I need out of a role, I can start to build the psychological profile to find the right people to fit. And so this is how the business goes from being a side hustle or your side gig or just a self-employed hustle into being a true business that you can start to scale and grow. And we can actually make more money with putting less time into the business. So it's such a key factor when we look at things like today's example is how to close more business with less leads. Don't just take what I said and remember parts of it. Write it down. Write the stuff down I talked about. Traffic versus conversion, and rapport is the foundation to trust, and trust is the bridge to where you can speak truth and close more deals, right? All that stuff I said, and then start to make some action items out of that. Well, how do I take that and implement it into my business? And then what opportunities next week? When am I going to time block into my calendar to utilize these things that I just learned? And how much of it am I going to do planning? And what do I think is going to happen when I do it? That's forecasting my results. This is how you take what I just talked about for the last 45 minutes and turn it into a plan that you roll into your weekly and daily actions and affect your business like immediately. If you guys are doing any prospect negotiations, any qualifications, and any sales right now, literally this stuff we talked about should make the next week or two or month better for you, unless you already know this stuff. And if you do, let me know, because I'm going to bring you on as a guest. And the next time we do this topic, I'm going to have you sit next to me and help teach what you know. Right. All right, guys. So that should be some help on how to implement what we talked about. Let me see. So Cree said, what do you recommend someone spending a month on traffic to figure out the conversion numbers? It's very specific to each business, but I would just understand this. I'm going to give you a formula. So if you don't know, this is why coaches, mentors, they don't have to be paid coaches, but you need mentors, experienced people in your business who can tell you, in your business, they should be able to tell you about what it costs to generate leads and about how many leads it takes to generate business and revenue. So you should know, in my market, of a 5-to-1 return is really normal on marketing. So I put $1 into the marketing machine, I get 5 back. That's if I know how to do traffic. I know how I'm generating traffic. I know how to convert. So in the beginning, maybe you're just looking for a 2-to-1 because you're not as good as that person for generating traffic. Like in real estate, guys, many of you guys would know that the cost of doing a deal, like in Indiana, in the market that I'm in, I know many of you guys aren't here and some of you guys aren't even doing real estate, but we just know on average, it's about a $2,000 give or take cost to get a deal done. It's going to cost about $100 a lead. It's going to take about 20 leads to get a deal. That can fluctuate based on how good you are and your exact business model, but I can go out and I need to be looking to spend 3 times what the normal deal cost or transaction cost is to get a deal. So if I know in my market, because mentors told me, coaches told me, $2,000 per deal is a pretty normal marketing spend. On $2,000, I should be making 10,000 gross, at least. By the way, that number should be higher right now for you guys, and this isn't a wholesaling scenario I'm giving you in Indianapolis. So I know that if I spend $1, I get 5 back. If I spend 2, I can make 2,000. I can make 10, right? And I know that $2,000 is going to be about 20 leads to get one deal, because each one of those leads is going to cost me about $100. But I have to be willing to spend 3 times that when I'm starting a campaign. So I need to go in spending $6,000 and being willing to spread that out over probably 1 month at a minimum, if not 2 to 3 months. Now you can speed that up and do it faster. Like on Facebook marketing, if somebody tells you, hey, this is the kind of return you should get, this is the amount of leads you should get with your business, someone may be able to tell you, hey, you need to spend, and a good mentor, a good coach, or an experienced vendor will tell you $5 a day on Facebook probably isn't enough data to learn your algorithm and traffic, right? But $100 a day is probably a waste. And so we start to narrow that in. So Cree, maybe I'm not giving you the best answer ever, But what I'm saying is you have to be a student of the game. And so that's why coaches, mentors, training, all that stuff comes into play. You can just out of dumb luck just go try something and track it and see what happens. And over time, right? It's literally the cliche coaching model out there is like, look, pay me to learn from my mistakes so you don't have to trial and error your way. For most of us, it's like, pay me to learn what I've learned after I paid a bunch of other people and I've made a bunch of mistakes. And so like, that's the person you want, is someone who's actively doing business, who says, I'm learning these lessons still today on a day-to-day basis. Plus I've paid to learn a lot of stuff. Plus I've made a lot of mistakes. Plus I've had a lot of wins. Like, that's the kind of person you need to seek out, whether it's through a paid relationship or just as a mentor or a business partner, or hire that person. However you can, get that person into your life that can tell you. But that's what it is. In your business, maybe you got to spend $500 on Facebook ads to bring in $1,000 sale in the information marketing business. Maybe you got to spend $500 on your Amazon store to generate a sale to get $500 back, but you acquired a client. Like, I don't know what the exact, numbers would be for different industries. I gave you guys a pretty good one for real estate. But here's the key. I've got to understand what my cost per client, transaction, deal, whatever you call it, is on average, how many prospects I'm going to pay to get to that point, so I can divide that number out and understand how much I'm willing to pay per lead that comes in. So if you have like a software as a service business, which I don't think any of you guys, I don't know, some of you guys, I don't know. I don't know, but if you have a software as a service business, you're going to care about the cost to acquire a client, CAC. So cost of acquiring a client is going to be really, really important for you guys to track, so that you know how much money you can spend in marketing to acquire a client. And then you're going to want to know what the lifetime value of a client is. And so you're going to need that to be a multiple of what it costs to acquire that person. There's a lot of people in the internet marketing world that will lose money. They'll sell like a, 1997, a $20 ebook, and they might spend, a couple $100 acquiring that client through ad spend, because they know the lifetime value of a client is, say, $1,000. So that might be too complex for some of you guys. Hopefully, Cree, that helps. But it's learning whatever the normal cost per client would be, or transaction or deal or whatever. And you got to be willing to spend 3 times that to give a marketing campaign enough runway. So, if it costs $1,000 to acquire a client, or $1,000 to get a deal in real estate or whatever, and I just go spend $1,000, it doesn't work, and I throw my hands up and I say, hey, I'm out, that didn't work. There's so many people that do that. They buy, especially in direct mail and real estate, they buy one mailer, they send it out one time, and then they're like, oh, it didn't work. But that next $1,000 you spend, you might get really close to a deal, but you still don't get one. So I'm 2,000 in, but the averages start to play out when you're spending 3 times the normal amount, because in that third 1,000, the reality is I'll probably land a couple deals. And so now I've spent $3,000, but I've gotten 2 deals that have come in. So I'm getting closer to that right number. And then the next 1,000 I spend might be nothing in. And the next 1,000 I spend might be 3 deals. Right. So now I have 5 deals on $6,000. I'm really close to that number. So it's always over time where the averages start to play out. So you got to be willing to hang in. Don't just keep trial and erroring things. You got to give them enough time to play out. All right, what else we got? Okay, Cree, I see you said you got a story. Let me see you on time. I'll pull you up. I'm getting real close on time here. I'd love you to tell that in the Facebook group, though. 100% right. John says, cool, thanks. Yeah. Sky, you're welcome. All right, cool. I see a lot of just kind of general comments here. So, hey, I'll tell you guys. So there's a handful of names on here that I don't know. If you guys haven't connected with us, make sure you hit that link, the ceonation.com/links, and get connected in the Facebook group. Check out some of the podcast episodes, but set up a strategy call if you want to talk to us about us helping you with your business. I will say this: if you guys have an interesting need in your business, you've got a good business cranking, and you're paying for marketing, you've got employees, and there's revenue, and things are kind of cranking. If you're in that position and you've got some kind of marketing issue, team building issue, partnership issue, I'll say this, something you're willing to talk about publicly. We're always looking for people to bring on to this Monday call as a case study. And so what I'll do is a free coaching call to jump on outside of this, like during the week, to just hear more about your business. We'll kind of hone in on what we can cover during the Monday. And then one of these future Monday calls, I'll just go crazy as much as I can help you in an hour on a free coaching call. I'll help you through whatever that problem is. I just want to make sure it's kind of like a larger, like you have a more active business with a team and marketing spend, and you have transactions going on, because I want to really lean into that space. And then, if it's like, look, I got to get advice by tomorrow, that's probably not the right fit. But if you're like in general trying to change up your marketing plan, which is one we did a few weeks ago with these guys, Evan and Jarrett, we talked about how to invest in paid marketing and when the right time is, and how to pick a vendor and how to vet them out and what kind of return should you get and all that kind of stuff. That was a good one. We did one several months back with a guy named Dustin, where we talked about how to track your KPIs, because he was just too busy to collect his KPIs. So that was cool. But keep that in mind, and just hit back an email to us, and or jump on and set up a strategy call, and we can talk about that. But all that is at theCEONation.com/links. You see what I got popping in here. If you guys are on the Facebook group and you're watching us later, but you want to get on live, just go somewhere in the news, in the feed inside the group. You can find a link to get signed up for the actual Zoom, so you can log into it. I think I really got to keep us on time today. I hope that helps, guys. And so, Cree, remind me, maybe on the next Monday, we'll throw your story out, or I'll jump live. We'll do a split screen live in the Facebook group or something. I don't want to cut you short, but I do need a bolt today. But guys, I hope this helped with, again, looking at growing sales in a different way, rather than just throwing more people and money at it and having more crap to spend money on and more time to spend with more leads, and having more sales guys to handle more leads, and just more. And then you hope that it turns into more revenue. The reality is, like, you get spread so thin, you spend more money, your profitability shifts, and there's a law of diminishing returns, so that many times when you're trying to grow something, you just get more going on and you actually get worse results. So I hope you guys take that to heart. Hope today helped. Again, I'm Steve Richards, the founder of the CEO Nation. The CEO Nation, guys, is here to help you on your transition from being an entrepreneur to being a CEO. I want you to be able to build your business into an asset that works for you instead of you working for it. I want you guys to be able to get the time, money, and influence out of your business that you need to live the life that you want to live, that you desire to live, right? So instead of your business sucking the money and time and life out of you, it's giving you time and giving you money and giving you life. And that's why the CEO Nation exists. All right. So we've got a lot more to talk about in upcoming meetings. Guys, connect with us if you think we can help, whether it's coaching or if you need help hiring with our team architects. If you want to talk about anything that you saw in the group or in the Facebook, the Facebook group or the podcast, we're here. Connect with me or Bobby. You can just hit up support at the CEO Nation to connect with Bobby. Hit the link up that I gave you guys, and I think that's it for today. I'll see you guys next Monday if I don't see you before in something else. Take care and have a good one.